So did you hear the one about the rabbi, the DJ, and the hitman? Well, if you haven't, I'm going to tell you right now. Rabbi Fred Newlander was an incredibly popular rabbi in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. His congregation, immensely popular, crowded, and just growing day by day. That's one reason why Elaine Sonsini, a local DJ with a sultry voice, reached out to Rabbi Fred Newlander. You see, Elaine's husband was Jewish and he passed away, but he wasn't a practicing Jew and didn't have a rabbi of his own. Elaine was Catholic and didn't have a rabbi either. So people in the area said, Elaine, you should reach out to Rabbi Fred Newlander. He can help you to officiate your husband's funeral. So she did that. And Rabbi Fred Newlander officiated the funeral of Elaine's husband, and the two met. And Rabbi Fred Newlander, sort of as a courtesy to people that he would help through difficult times like this, approached Elaine and said, yeah, would you like to have dinner? It was sort of like a follow-up to make sure everything was okay. And Elaine quickly responded by saying, instead of dinner, why don't you come by for lunch? So Rabbi Fred Newlander came by her place for lunch. It was her condo. And the lunch, well, it wasn't just sandwiches that were on the menu that day, if you know what I mean. And from that point forward, these two engaged in a very passionate love affair. One problem, though. Rabbi Fred Newlander was married to a wonderful woman named Carol. So Rabbi Newlander knew, I guess, in his own mind or thought that he couldn't get divorced because that would hurt his reputation in the community. So instead, he reached out to his friend, a local alleged mobster named Pepe Levin. And he kept telling Pepe, I just wish I could come home and find my wife dead on the floor one day. Well, Pepe Levin didn't take the bait and did not do anything with it except testify at his trial later. So what ended up happening is that Fred Newlander met this man at his congregation because the temple would open up its doors to at AA meetings. And one of the guys who was going to these AA meetings was named Len Genoff. And Len Genoff smoked cigarettes, as did Rabbi Fred Newlander. And they sort of became smoking buddies. And one day, Rabbi Fred somehow convinced Len Genoff to kill his wife. Unbelievable. For like $20,000. So Len Genoff did take the bait and actually did commit the crime with his roommate. After the death of Carol Newlander, there's an outpouring of support for Rabbi Fred Newlander from members of the congregation and from the public. But for investigators, it was a different story because they were taking a close look at Rabbi Fred Newlander and uncovered this affair with Elaine Sonsini and also got information from Pepe Levin that he had been solicited by the rabbi to commit the murder, although he didn't do it. So with that type of evidence, they were ready to go forward inside the courtroom. But it wasn't the strongest case. And at this point now, Len Genoff became the public bodyguard and confidant of Rabbi Fred Newlander, sort of protecting him as he marched in and out of the courtroom, getting ready for his trial. But then on the eve of the trial, Len Genoff, who somehow became infatuated with this very attractive and leggy reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer, calls her for a meeting at a diner in New Jersey, and then tells her the whole story and confesses to killing Carol Newlander because he was getting paid by Rabbi Fred. Unbelievable development in this entire story. So the reporter, of course, calls law enforcement, who then arrests Len Genoff, who I guess thought he was going to be some sort of a hero in the eyes of this reporter by spilling the beans and telling the truth. instead ends up serving 20 years in prison and testifying against the rabbi at trial. At the first trial, Rabbi Fred Newlander, not convicted. The jury was hung, but at the second trial, he was convicted. I'm Vinny Politan. You can watch me every night at 8 o'clock. Oh, yeah, by the way, Rabbi Fred Newlander, life without the possibility of parole, but did escape a death sentence. The jury did not send him to death row because New Jersey at the time did, in fact, have the death penalty. Oh, yeah, you can watch me every night, 8 o'clock, Court TV, my show, Closing Arguments. I'm Vinny Politan. Thanks so much for watching.